Hello guys, and welcome to Daddy Share Space, and welcome to my garage shop. So today I'm coming to you with an unboxing. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what we have. Alright, so we have a sustainer from Festool. Let's go ahead and pull it out of the box. Okay, so in this sustainer we have the DWC 18 or the DuraDrive DWC 18-4500 Basic. So let's open it up and see what that acronym means. So on top we have the actual book, and as you can see what we have here, and we also have the warranty inclusive. And here we have another drill from Festool, though this is a specialty drill. This is actually the drywall drill from Festool. And we get the drill itself. You see it has a belt clip installed. And then we also have a correlator to be able to run multiple screws. And then we have an extra drive here, Phillips. And that's all that we have in the container. Now, taking a look at the lid here, let's see what else they have to offer. So you can get the correlated screws. You've got a bit extension here, which I don't see. Oh, actually, I almost missed something. There's actually another Phillips bit here. So it looks like we've got everything that's in the actual sustainer out. Okay, so you can obviously get this with batteries included. I got just the tool only. Here you've got auto and manual. So on the auto function it says to push and then it spins, and then on manual it says you'll pull the trigger, then push, and then it spins. So it's giving you instructions right there on front in regarding how this particular drill functions. Taking a closer look at the drill, it's got a nice little size to it. It's the kind of C handle or D handle, however you want to call it. And you've got, looks like a rafter style hook on the, that's the right side of the tool. You've got a belt loop on the left side of the tool. It's got the Festool EC Tech motor in it. It's the, as I said, DWC 18-4500. On the top, you've got your settings. You've got manual and auto. You've got your forward and reverse. This drill is, let's see here. So it goes from 0 to 4,500 revolutions per minute. You've got an adjustment cone here to be able to increase or decrease the depth setting for the tool. Let's see how this comes off. Okay, as you can see, it just pulls off. You've got a cone here that goes over top, and here's that extension on the inside. See how that comes out. It just pops out there and pops back in. And you can see that depression there, that's what's going to activate the tool when you push it in. So for auto, it's going to automatically do it. And for manual, you have to pull the trigger and then push in to actually get this tool to work. So this cone, it just pops on. And this is a depth setting cone. As I said, you can see how the tip there, it's protruding out, so that basically, and it does get to the point to where it's going to kind of just ravel off. But once you screw it in, you can see you got clicks to determine what that depth is going to be like. And it protrudes, or it actually goes all the way back to the machine. That's how far back it clicks. The body of the machine there, that's what stops it from going any further. Now if you want to add on the correlator attachment, you'll actually take this off. You got your drive out, and then you'll take one of these here. You'll pop it in. It's clicked in there, good, so it doesn't fall out. And then you'll take your collator, and there's a hole. You just stick it in and pop it on, and you're ready to go for some drywall drilling. Now this actually can go on sideways, like if you need to get up close to something, or if you want to go in like this and you want to be flush on this top end, it actually can go on any kind of way that you want, as you can see there. Now the depth setting here on this portion, you have this green knob, and there's actually an indicator. So as I rotate towards me, which would be, what is that, counterclockwise, it's actually driving the screw, it's making the screw shallower. And then as I turn clockwise, you can see this little dial here moving up, and that's going to make the screw go deeper. And it just travels the distance between this rectangular opening from left to right. You also have some depth setting here on the front, which, let's see, you push this button and you can slide it out. So it's got 1 inch right here, and then it goes out to 1 1/4, 1 3/8, 1 5/8, 1 3/4, 2 inches, 2 1/4, and then it actually comes out of the machine. So push down and it activates the tool. So you run your correlated screws up through here and then through here to actually utilize that. Now I need to pick up some screws. I actually forgot to order them when I ordered this gun, so I'm gonna get those, but I'm gonna actually put this up against the DeWalt drywall screw gun that I have here in the shop. To be honest, I'm not, it could be user error, but I'm not super happy with the DeWalt because when I was building the drywall carts that I was making in the past, I noticed that it was not giving me, it was not sinking the screws beneath the surface consistently, and I would have to follow back up with a secondary drill to kind of drill those in. So curious to see how well this particular device performs, and then I'll also, you know, I'll do a price comparison because this was probably about I want to say like $359 for this whole setup, and you do get the sustainer. You also get this, you know, the correlating attachment with it. I can't remember right offhand how much the DeWalt and the Milwaukee cost, but basically you buy the drill separate from the correlating attachment, and when you put them together, it kind of brings it closer in line with the price of this particular tool, and also you get a nice container to put it in. So anyways, I am going to do a few, we're gonna drill a little bit with this, and then that'll pretty much wrap up this video. Okay guys, so I was going to build a bigger wall for this demonstration. However, I have a bunch of supplies on the other side of the shop kind of buried, so I decided to just make a mini mock-up. So I'm using my Milwaukee M18 framing nailer here just to make up a small miniature wall with just some 2x lumber. I'm not really worried about things being square or perfect, and obviously I'm not doing 16 inches on center. The whole goal of this is just to try out this Festool drywall gun. With my little faux frame in place, now I need to come up with a way to kind of get this thing to stand up on its own. So I just decided to take a couple more pieces of 2x lumber, and I'm just gonna basically nail it down And since I was kind of rushing here, I did not do my due diligence and make sure that I had nails that were not too long. So you will see that I'm basically just going to nail right into my bench. But it's wood, so, you know, no harm, no foul. So now that I know that the nails are too long, I just decided I'm going to go ahead and nail this other portion off the bench. And I think the way I have the table set up, I think it's bumping into the camera, so I think every so often it's actually going blurry because of that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is what's causing the issue. So now I'm going to do one of my favorite things, which is break out the grinder. And this is a perfect opportunity to pull out that new Festool grinder that I purchased and put it to work, because quite often I am known for putting in screws and or nails that are too long for the work that I'm working on. So that's what we're going to do here. This is the Festool 125 grinder, and I'm over here looking for a battery. Don't see one, so I ended up going over to the Capex 60 and just snatching a battery off of it to just go ahead and cut these nails that are protruding. I'm always in the shop, like, just tinkering and just, you know, making little prototypes that aren't really worth much, or, you know, not finished projects. I just like kind of just trying to figure things out. Obviously I got my little protection on here so that I don't throw something back in my face. So that Milwaukee Bolt helmet coming in handy. Alright, so that grinder is getting use already. I need to build a assist port because taking these things down is a pain. And, you know, since I started making this full wall, so I have a bigger sheet of drywall. However, I didn't feel like going back behind all the wood and stuff and plywood sheets, so I just found this thin strip that was near the front. And so I just decided I'm just going to go ahead and utilize this and just, basically I'm just scrapping this thing together just to do this video. And it's amazing how much time these things take when you know, either A, didn't plan it out. I'm just doing all of this off the top of my head because I was supposed to do this video a little bit earlier, and when I saw how, you know, I had moved all the wood and stuff to the other side of the shop, and I saw where I put the drywall, it was behind everything else, and, you know, my heart just sank because I was like, dude, I do not feel like moving all of that again. So I kind of pushed this whole, you know, project back, and then when I felt a little better about it, I went outside and I happened to see this piece of sheetrock, this thin piece out there, and then I came up with this idea of making this little, you know, mock-up miniature wall. And so, you know, since I don't have a piece to cover the whole little wall here, I just decided I'll just cut some pieces and, you know, kind of put it all in. It's going to give me more places to try to put in drywall screws anyway. So, you know, it's all skill building, right? Framing, drywalling, building, the whole nine. And one of the reasons why I put this part of the video in here like this, and I just decided to do a little bit of a voiceover and not just do a speed up of it, is because, you know, I kind of liked what I saw. Well, when I went back and looked at the footage, I felt like it was pretty interesting. There was a part that I actually cut out, and then when I was doing the editing, I was like, you know, I think the video makes a little bit more sense if I put it back in there. So I did. And as you can see here, I'm almost done cutting up these pieces. And because actually I was going to make 2 different videos, and I just, you know, for whatever reason, I didn't go with my first idea, which was just to pull out the Festool drywall gun and, you know, sink some screws and then go on about my way. Once I got all these pieces cut out and I got everything ready, I decided to go ahead and break out the DeWalt Drywall Gun and, you know, just kind of do a faux comparison. So here I'm using the DeWalt Drywall Gun, which, as I've spoken about in the past, you know, I'm not very happy with it. You know, it just does not sink screws. So here, the screw that I put in, it's not sunk. And so I'm playing with the depth gauge, and I've done this plenty of times before, and it just does not seem to want to work out. I've tried to get it done, but it's just not working. So I'm trying to give this drill ample opportunities to show me that it actually works properly. Maybe I got a damaged one, I don't know. But I will say too, going at this angle, you know, I'm obviously putting in these screws at this angle so that I can record it with the video, but it's a lot more challenging coming in from the side as opposed to being right behind the drill. But of these screws that I put in, none of them are sitting flush. So now I'm getting the Festool drill down. This is going to be the first time that I ever used it, and so I don't really know what to expect at this point. So we get the drill out, pop on that battery, and when I first start, yeah, I forgot to pop the cone on properly. So as soon as I fired up the drill, it just threw the cone off. So that thing, it's just a friction fit. It just snaps on, and you know, you just tug at it good to pop it off. And when I had basically done the unboxing, I didn't put it back on. So here I'm using this, and right off the bat I noticed it's just a total, well, first and foremost, when I started I had the drill in reverse, so I was wondering why it wasn't going in, but that's the reason, because I didn't have it going forward. But once I got it into drive, it right off the bat, it felt totally different. I'm not going to say, oh, it just felt so powerful. It just has a very different mechanism of operation. The drill doesn't spin, and as you push, when it's in auto, then it's like a pulsating sensation that drives the screw flush. And all of these initial screws that I put in, they all actually were sunk below the drywall surface, which I was very impressed with. So I'm just continuing here, trying this out, because you know, sometimes you can get a false first impression. The drill does take a little bit of getting used to, because it has that pulsation action. If you don't keep, you know, like pressure behind the drill, then it won't put the screw all the way in. But as you push down on the drill, it just seems to like pulsate, like it's, you know, knocking the screw in deeper. And so as you'll see me going on here, as I get further away from the my core, I noticed it was a little bit more difficult to sink the screws. But for the most part, once I got the pressure right behind the drill, it seemed to sink every single screw. So it was pretty good. I wouldn't say it's 100%, obviously, because sometimes you could be misaligned, and when you're misaligned, it did have a few that were a little proud of the surface. But if I was comparing it, the DeWalt up to this point did not sink a single screw below the surface, not one. And this one, basically, I would say, you know, early on, it was 85 to 90% all of the screws being sank. So I went back to the DeWalt thinking that maybe I was doing something wrong, and yeah, it just doesn't have it. I don't know what the deal is. As I said, it could be user error, it could be that I got a bad drill, but it is absolutely not working. But I am giving it ample opportunities to step up and do what it needs to do. Now, I paid $159 or so, either $159 or $179 is the regular price. But I think I got that drill on sale. So I think I paid the regular price, but it ended up coming in with a free battery or something like that. So I switched back to the Festool drill, and I'm getting a lot of the same results, that it is sinking the majority of these screws below the surface. And now I'm moving up to this next sheet here of drywall to try, just basically continue with the experiment. And you're getting a little bit of a look of what happens behind the scene when I'm making these videos. Obviously this is a little bit longer of a demo than I normally put in a video. Normally I just take a few clips and I'm done with it, but I'm trying something a little bit different here, because I feel like for anyone that has not experienced this Festool drill, that it might be helpful for you to actually see it, and especially in comparison to the DeWalt drill, to just see if it's something that you may be interested in, or if you like the mechanism of action. I really think that is very interesting, is the best way I can say it about it. I do look forward to being able to use it where I'm actually standing behind the drill. I do feel like the percentage of screws that go flush will go up from there if I'm standing behind it squared up. As I've already stated, it's a little bit challenging kind of going in at an angle like that, but it's better for this recording. I do kind of wish that I would have had one of my angles set up with the macro lens, so that you could have got a really good close-up look at how far the screws are going in. But one of the difficulties of setting up for these videos is I don't really know what camera angle is going to be best. So I have to decide between the 4 different lenses, and I only have I have the 3 cameras, and I borrowed one from my wife, but her camera, it's a Canon. It has a different color science, and then also she only has like the 1 lens for it, so I don't have a lot of variability with that. Now, as I said, I'm still popping these in, and overall I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with what I see. Now, I have not tried the correlating attachment as of yet, but I am going to be trying that here shortly. I'm just really trying to nail down my feelings about how this actual drill works. So it looks like now we're going to go ahead and move over to the correlating attachment, and you can see how the drill comes apart. To add those components, you have to put in the longer Phillips bit, and make sure you pop it in. Take the battery out, or else the drill will activate while you're putting the bit in, so you want to make sure that battery's out. And then there's the correlating attachment. And I just picked up some drywall I just picked up some drywall screws from Home Depot. These are 1 5/8, I believe, as far as the length of the screws, and I made sure that I set the tip of the gun to the 1 5/8 setting on the tip, and I'm going ahead and basically feeding these screws in. Now, this is the first time I've ever used a correlating nail gun, so don't judge me, but I got through it. So the correlating function, it seems to be working as prescribed. I really like this way of doing drywall. I mean, I'm thinking that anybody that had to do a decent sized job, you definitely would want one of these correlators, because it works really nice. Now again, now that I have a longer gun, it's a little bit more challenging to kind of get my arm over and get the force right behind the gun, which is where you ideally want to be in order to sink the screws, but still here most of them were actually sunk below the surface. There were a few times where I actually missed the studs, but when I hit the studs and I actually put proper pressure, it sank all of those screws. Every now and then there was a little bit of a misfire because either I came in at an angle or I didn't, you know, get myself kind of centered, my wrist centered and push all the way in. And so I noticed that if you don't have proper technique, you're going to have a lot more screws that do not get sunk below the surface. But as you can see here, this is just, I mean, this is a pretty easy to use tool. I can see the difference in the fatigue level because you can lock on the trigger with the DeWalt and the motor's running the whole time, and you know it works in that way. But this thing is pretty much, it's silent, and the only time it activates is when you actually push the drill. Now, as I said, you got to get used to that kind of pulsating type of mechanism, but the drill just, it's like it's not even on when you put it in auto. Now I did try the mechanism where you actually put it in manual, and in those cases you have to pull the trigger and then depress. Even if you pull the trigger, it will not spin the bit until you push down or put pressure on the head of this device. So just keep that in mind. I did read some posts on it there where people were having difficulty with it, and I think it was because they didn't really understand how it worked. As you can see here, I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with it, and probably a little bit more cavalier too, so I'm just kind of firing it in. I would be one of those types of people that should make a scribe line down so that I hit the stud behind the you know, behind the drywall on a regular basis. You can see here towards this end, it's just sinking them. It's just doing what it needs to do. And as I'm getting leverage, I turn the board around towards me to where it's a little bit easier to kind of get my power behind it. And so, yeah, it's definitely a cool tool. And the correlator attachment for the DeWalt, I want to say, is about $129. So 129 plus 159 puts you up and around close to the $300 range, and this particular drill is $359 with the correlating gun. So I don't feel like that's too much of a premium to go with the DeWalt over the to go with the Festool, sorry, over the DeWalt. And the Milwaukee's about in the same price range. I think there's a Hilti that's super expensive, but I haven't purchased any Hilti tools, so I can't speak on that. Now, I did use the Festool in this configuration, and I went back and I was able to sync all of the screws that the DeWalt was not able to sync. So that was also encouraging, because with the DeWalt, once it gets to its end, there's like, it doesn't seem to be any way to kind of make it continue to go. It just goes as far as it's going to go, and there's like almost like there's no more power. It doesn't operate like a regular drill in that fashion, whereas this thing, it seems like as long as you push on it, it's kind of doing this pulsating mechanism, pushing the screw deeper. Some of them got pretty deep actually with this, and here I'm going through and tightening up all the ones that, you know, I kind of got cavalier with the correlator, and all of them, I got all of the screws to sync when I went back with this, so I did not have to go grab a secondary drill. So I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to check out my channel and for checking out this unboxing and overview of the Festool DWC 18-4500 drywall screw gun. Thanks and take care. Okay, cool. There it goes. Let's go here somewhere.